but we're getting a lot of different reports about what happened with Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. What do you make of what you saw this past Friday night, John?
I thought it drew interest. And I don't know how much interest there was going to be for this. I mean, there was going to be a lot of interest. This is for a championship, and there's a lot to this. But I thought this created interest. And people were saying, well, there was a shoot. And I love the people out there, and there are hypocrites out there that will say, we need to look more like a shoot. And then when they don't know if it is a shoot or not, they go, oh, someone should be fired over this. So you can't have it both ways. You either want it entertaining, you want it personal, you want it where you can't see through it. And again, this may be 100% shoot. I have no idea if it is or not. It looks like it probably is. So what? It's something that created interest. People are going to be very interested in this match now.
So people really don't know what to make of this, Jim. What do you think of these sort of worked shoot or maybe just off script shoot promos? Like, do these ever work and draw money in wrestling?
Sometimes they can. Sometimes they can, Conrad. And both of those ladies are very talented. And so, we'll see where there's a story there someplace.
Here's where it really, to me, got confusing for Tiffany. And here's where I had some compassion for Tiffany. If she's this young, underneath, and we've referenced Gail, underneath babyface, that, man, I'm going to get my shot at the queen, the greatest female professional wrestler of all time. If I'm going to get my shot at her, then I really need to be the all shucks kid next door. And I know you got to have piss and vinegar, and you got to have fire and spunk as a babyface, but man, to really build things up, and she can just say, oh man, whatever the verbiage can be. But when you start dropping the insider stuff and look, depending on what demo you're in, when she starts bringing in the personal stuff about marriages, and it was like straight out 101. Okay, so is Tiffany the heel? I get it now. She wants to be heel, but no. That I don't think, Conrad, are they selling Tiffany to be the heel? That was confusing. In the I'll call it the shoot comments or the insider jabs or whatever it may be. And Memphis TV and Lawler and Jarrett and others, and at different times in my career, you can kind of look at different stories that I've been in, and if you can blur the lines and personal issues draw money and blah, 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 blah. We can go down that road all you want, but how did a 25-year-old perceived babyface girl taking pot shots at the queen and then drop the mic and roll out of the ring? Like, where did all that psychology make sense? I'm at a loss on how does that build to Mania? How's that productive? And to me, because she dropped and rolled, and I think optics go a long, long way. Now more than ever, Charlotte is the babyface, and they want to say, beat that little bitch's ass. But I don't think that's what they want, or do they?
What'd you make of this segment?
I don't think too deep beyond what I see and feel. In other words, I'm not interested in the conspiracy theories and all the internet chatter from people that have no idea what they're talking about. But they project in whatever they want to project in order to get a reaction from social media, because that validates them and it makes them feel important. I just thought it was awkward. I know I'm often criticized for just putting WWE over at every opportunity, and truthfully, I do, because there's not a lot to criticize. This interview may be the exception. It just, for whatever reason, and it could be something just as innocuous as the fact that they just don't really have any chemistry. They haven't worked together long enough. Perhaps they didn't get time to really work through this the way you would like to. Or perhaps, and more likely, Tiffany's green. Regardless of the content of that interview, she was really forced and it felt very awkward. And she felt to me, now this is from a producer's perspective. You're kind of reading body language. You're listening to the pace of the delivery, right? If it's very mechanical, almost like an AI voice, that's nerves. That's just somebody that's trying so hard not to forget what to say that whatever they do say comes out very choppy and just unnatural. That's what I took from Tiffany. I think that things started falling apart, and for whatever reason, and let me be the first to tell you, you've heard about ring rust. We all kind of know what that is because it's relatable to any other sport, right? If you haven't swung a golf club in 2 years and you go out to play, 18 holes competitively, you're going to know it. Or any other sport. Wrestling, obviously the same when it comes to the physical part. We can all relate to that. Here's the part that you can't relate to unless you've been in the spot, and that's out there live in front of people, remembering what is often or having at your control, so to speak, what is often a fairly heavy dose of narrative, right? For live. Most of the time, they all handle it well. This time they didn't, for whatever reason. And my first thought before I even heard, I don't know what the drama is backstage. I just don't care. It's not interesting to me. It's just not where my head goes, right? But again, producer Eric says, she's not ready for that kind of pressure. Charlotte's been off for a while, and she's got her own version of ring rust. Not physically, but until you've been in that spot and stood there on top of a little box, like a top of a wedding cake, surrounded by, 10, 15, 20,000 people, you might not know how that feels. I do. What's most likely to be true? You've got a green piece of talent, and you've got one that hasn't been in the ring with a mic in a long time. There you go. You could actually bet on that. Like if there were odds, if you knew a promo and you knew who was in it, and you had some background information, you could sit back and go, Charlotte Flair hasn't had a microphone in her hand in 6 months. She hasn't been involved in a program in a while. And then the girl she's in there with, having a rap battle, she's greener than goose shit. She doesn't have a lot of experience. I'm going to bet on, that'd be an easy bet.